Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Washington County Personnel Committee meeting. Will the meeting now come to order? I have asked Justice of the Peace Lance Johnson if he would lead us in the prayer and the pledge this evening. Thank you, J.P. Johnson.
Is this live?
You're live.
Yeah. Let's pray. Father God, we love you, we honor you, we praise you. We thank you for this day, and we thank you for your many, many blessings. And we pray tonight that you'll be with all members of this quorum court and all county employees and keep them safe and keep them healthy during the upcoming season. And we pray tonight that you will give us your guidance and give us wisdom as we conduct the business of Washington County. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Justice Johnson. An adoption of the agenda. Before we adopt the agenda, I want to add a justification letter from Judge Christy Beaumont, and it is in your packet requesting a change to her office. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda with the justification letter?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. The agenda has been adopted. Let's see, are we on number 5 already?
4.
4. Okay. We have a request from County Judge Joseph Wood regarding the pay increase of the newly hired quorum court coordinator. I'd like to welcome our new quorum court coordinator. Myra, welcome to county service and to the Washington County Quorum Court. We're excited and looking forward to seeing you. And we see that the big high heel shoes that Ms. Patty Burnett left for you, she's going to make sure that you fill them well. So thank you. So do I have a motion to accept?
I make a motion.
I have Justice Fleming making a motion. I have Justice Pond seconding that motion. This will have to go, no, this is budget neutral, so it just does not need to go to budget and finance. It just needs to be approved. Okay? Full quorum court for approval. No, it does not.
Don't.
No, just personnel. It's a personnel change. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? This motion has been adopted. And if I didn't ask for public comment, I apologize. I'm coming off of some very strange medication that Dr. Jonathan Parker put me on, and sometimes I'll just kind of space out. So I do apologize for that. I will make sure that your voices are heard. Okay, item number 5, an ordinance changing the grades of various positions in the tax collector's budget for 2022 and appropriating $25,926.45 to various line items in the budget for 2022. This comes from our county collector, Angela Wood. Back in June, there was a JSAP meeting, which these positions were approved, and it should have gone on to the Personnel Committee meeting that afternoon, but there was, I guess, personnel change in the HR department, and the ball was fumbled. So now we get to pick up the ball and move this towards the finish line and making sure that these positions, they are just regraded positions, and you have her letter of justification. And it's been a while. Now, the breakdown, her request is the $25,000, but County General will only assume $13,000 of this. The rest of the money will come for her from the collector's automation fund. So she will pay the $12,000 and so much for the rest of it. And this does need to go to the Budget and Finance.
Move to send to the
Committee.
Budget and Finance with a due pass recommendation. Second.
Would you say that again, please?
Move to send to the Budget and Finance Committee with a due pass recommendation.
I have a motion and a second by Justice Dennis. Is there any discussion? Is there any public comment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All oppose? The motion passes. Moving on to number 7. I'm sorry, no, number 6, I apologize, number 6. This is an ordinance changing the title of the lead deputy coroner's position in the coroner's budget for 2022. Our wonderful coroner could not be here. He apologizes. There was a nursing home death in Springdale that he has to go and attend to, and I said, don't worry, we'll have your back. This is only a title change. It is not an appropriation. It will not go to Budget and Finance, so it's only a title change.
Move to send to the full quorum court with a due pass recommendation. Second. If it needs to go, or does it need to go?
If it's just a title change, it's not an appropriation.
Okay. Move to pass.
Just one moment, please. We're getting just a confirmation.
All right.
It needs to go to Budget. Okay, it's a title change.
Move to send to the Budget, Finance and Budget with a due pass recommendation.
I have a motion and a second to pass on to the Budget and Finance Committee with the due pass recommendation. Do I have a second? Second. Justice Dennis, Robert Dennis. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Item number 7. An ordinance changing the grades of 2 positions in the prosecutor's budget for 2022 and appropriating $9,833.91 to various line items in the prosecutor's budget for 2022. This is the other item that passed JSAP in June, and it should have gone to the Personnel Committee, but it didn't, and therefore we are now taking care of what should have been taken care of in June by approving this, and I've asked our prosecutor, Matt Durrett, who makes a better argument than anybody else that I know of for why he's requesting this position. And this will go on to the Budget and Finance Committee. Thank you.
I appreciate it. This originally went to JSAP in June, and I had requested grade changes for 2 of my employees. One was my office manager, and the other was my bilingual victim assistant. And the reason I requested grade changes is not necessarily changes in duty, but expansion of duties, mainly due to our increased caseload. They're interacting with the public quite a bit more, and so I'd requested Mr. Johansson to do, at least to evaluate it to see if it should have been a higher grade than they both were. And I'd asked for, especially with the office manager, to put the position more in line with others, and neither one of them had been really evaluated, and I think since 2012. So that's why I made the request. And like you said, it kind of slipped through the cracks. And when the budget was, I feel a little bit silly being up here, but I had thought I had looked at something in a proposed budget that reflected the grade changes, which is why I didn't say anything before, because I know the appropriate thing to do would have been to address it before the budget got passed, but I had looked at a proposed budget, and the grade changes were reflected in that, but they weren't reflected in the final budget. So that's why I'm here asking for it. Otherwise, I would have brought this up beforehand. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
I will say that you followed the recommendations by the Budget and Finance Chairman, Patrick Deakins, that, please get all of these requests in before a certain deadline, and all of this was done. They did due diligence. It was just one of those things that didn't get through after JSAP, didn't get through the Personnel Committee meeting in order to move this forward. So no blame, no fault. We're just going to continue to move forward on this one. Are there any questions for Mr. Durrett?
I've got one.
I have Justice Dennis.
So I know it's a very busy time of the year and your folks are all working very hard. Are you going to approve some overtime for them?
Well, we're actually coming to the end of our overtime budget. We've used up quite a bit of overtime. This is the first time that we've really hit. I think we're at 95% of our overtime budget, but we're not at the point where I think that we have to come back in and ask for additional overtime because people are going to take some comp time, and I haven't heard anyone complain about that because they've worked enough that on some days they'd prefer a day off as opposed to overtime hours.
Well, I was just thinking that they got shorted during COVID on some hours and they might want to work hard in December to make it up. That's
Well,
all. So if you needed overtime approved, I would vote for it. So
okay, well, I appreciate that.
I was just thinking of what you said last time,
Okay, I appreciate that.
hoping they could make a little bit of it back up.
I haven't heard, like I said, I don't want to get back into that whole discussion, but, no one complained about that, and no one has complained about needing overtime. There are, the general complaints, from me included, about having enough work to work overtime, but generally that's the extent of the complaints. But I appreciate that, and if it becomes a need, then I'll certainly make the request. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you to them as well.
Okay. I have Justice Lemmings making a motion to pass this on to Budget and Finance with a due pass recommendation. A second from Justice Dennis. Do I have any further discussion?
I just need to state something.
Turn on your mic.
I got a text from Sherry Main, and she says the live stream's not working. I just want to put that out there. It's working now?
Thank you for letting us know. They're working on it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Is there any public comment? With no public comment, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? This motion carries and is passed on to the Budget and Finance Committee. All right, number 8. This is just a sidebar comment. This is where I really wish we would revisit FOIA, because I was not aware of this item agenda to be placed on the agenda until this afternoon, and not being able to have a discussion or understand where this is coming from makes it rather difficult, and you sometimes feel blindsided by it because you can't discuss anything until you get here. So I wish we could just change some of the FOIA regulations. That said, this is an ordinance appropriating $501,324.10 from the unappropriated reserves in the Road Fund 2000 to various line items in the Road Department budget 2000200 for the 2022 budget, and this is sponsored by J.P. Lemming. J.P. Lemming.
There's a lot of reasons to try to pass this and get this done. Is
our road department is struggling to keep employees. And we've got a lot of employees that's making way under what they need to be making so they can make a living for their families. And I was trying real hard to get the lowest ones up to about the $15 range, and then trying to cap out of about $20 per hour. And then that way they will get a percentage raise, so everybody's gonna get a raise. The lower end's just gonna get they're just gonna get off the bottom so they can feed their families. And more reason for this is we can get employees hard, so the 1,100 miles of road that we have out there that we can't keep a road grader grading and keep people in graders and keep the roads graded to keep all the people from raising Cain with all of us. And we need to get that done for the public and the safety of the public. So I just want to get the employees what they deserve to be paid. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Justice Stafford?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, when we were going through the 2022 budget a couple weeks ago, I tried to make an amendment to get some of our employees who were making in those grades $15 an hour and below to raise them up and have that be a minimum. So I think this is a good step in that direction. You know, I'm in favor of this, and you know, I'm going to support it. I think that JP Lemming is absolutely right. We've got, you know, we got a lot of competition from the private sector. Everybody's raising wages. Everybody's competing for people because there's a labor shortage right now. We got other private companies that are offering all kinds of incentives to get people to fill those open positions. And not only do we need to fill the open positions that we have, we got to make sure that we keep the people that we have currently employed and give them a reason to stick with us. So I think those are all good reasons for moving forward with this.
Okay. I have Justice Washington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to echo what JP Rios Stafford said, that I think this definitely is a step in the right direction. My question is, how did we arrive at the $3 per hour, $2 per hour, and $1 per hour? Because my concern is, if you're looking at someone that makes $19.99 and they get a $2 raise, then that will be $21.99, which will be more than the person who's at $20 getting a $1 per hour raise. So I just wanted to know what the rationale was behind those numbers, and if we needed to explore more realistic numbers so that we could make sure that within us trying to make this equitable, that it really is equitable, because we don't want those who are at the top making less than the others who are getting this raise. So I just wanted to know what the rationale was for using the $3, $2, and $1 per hour raise.
Well, I done the 3 to get like the ones at the bottom up to the $15 range. There's no perfect way. I mean, there's going to be, even if you change that one, the next one, I mean, it's going to be hard to just, it's hard to pick a number where you want to go. We're just going to have to man up and take what we can give them, and somewhere there's going to be a hiccup, somewhere there's going to be people mad, but you know, they all ought to be looking at us thinking we're really trying hard to get them there, and we will get them there. And the ones that's making over $20, $21 an hour, and they get a 3% on their percentage raise they're going to get, that'll help them. So. And I talked to Brian, and I talked to several people about it, and you know, and there's no magical number. So I don't know.
Okay. I have Justice Pond.
I hear and I understand it's on.
It is.
It's not working. Can you
Yeah.
hear me now? Okay. I hear, and understand all three of the JPs that have spoken on this. It's very difficult. We're in a difficult position. I'm gonna take to heart, in an agreeable way with, Justice Washington on this. What happens to, right now morale is very low at the road department. I completely understand that, and I get that from constituents who rely on them for county service. But what will happen to the morale, let's say if this were to pass, where you have employees working underneath? I mean, the ones at the bottom are gonna receive a raise, and then they're gonna be working for people who are making less than they are in some instances here. I think that's what you were getting at. And we don't want to see that happen. And I've had it mentioned in passing that this is being worked on. And we've got another ordinance on the agenda here that we're going to be looking at that will create a little less problem. It's a temporary fix, but also I'm counting on a promise that with this temporary fix, we're still going to address this situation. I hate to vote no on it, but I hate to see what would happen if this were to pass all the way. It's all good, and I'm gonna catch some flack for what I've said already. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Justice Pond. I have Justice Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I commend you, Willie. It's a good ordinance, I think. I would hope that I wish there were a way that the personnel directors could take over and fine tune it a little bit so that it works. And I don't know how you legally leave that open so that it could be done, but I think it's a great step in the right direction. And I don't know, did we have a second?
I don't think a motion was even made.
Oh, the motion hasn't been made yet?
No.
Oh,
We're still,
you want to make your own motion then? Needs to go to Budget and Finance?
it'd have to.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we send it to Budget and Finance. I'll second.
I now have JP Washington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say publicly to JP Lemming, thank you for doing something about this. We've been talking about this my entire time on the court, for almost 3 years. We've had a lot of calls from members of the road department, and I just want, since I can't say it after the meeting, outside of the meeting, I just want to say thank you for taking a step in the right direction, and I do plan to support this. I understand it's not perfect, but it is a start.
Thank you, Justice Washington. My concern with this ordinance is the legality of the whole ordinance, in that we have processes and procedures in county government. Was this ordinance passed by the judge's office or the superintendent down at the roads department? Was this a collaborative effort, or is this an ordinance that you felt that somebody needed to take the bull by the horns?
Well, I'll say this, I took the bull by the horns, but
Okay.
I talked to 2 attorneys, and I'm not allowed to talk to the road department no more, I don't guess, because they won't return no calls or talk to me. That's okay, I don't care.
But,
Okay, just wanted to know.
somebody's got to take the bull by the horn and get it done if we're
Okay.
going to do it. If you think anything of your employees, we'll get it done.
Okay. Well, engagement drives change, so, you know, I've said that before. But I do raise the question that this was not a collaborative effort. This falls in the purview of the judge's office and the chief of staff needing to be aware of this is their department. And we, as a quorum court, cannot tell each elected official what they can and cannot do. However, just one moment. Okay, peace. So that was one of the objectives that I had laid out for this personnel committee, is collaboration with other elected officials to build bridges of trust and open communication in order to be effective in the change that we wanted to see in county government. And the only way we're able to do that is through engaging one another, communicating with one another, and understanding that. Now, number two, there are processes and procedures in policy, and that is the job assessment evaluation program, salary program that we have. And this was not submitted for review, was it?
Well, evidently, the process that we have in place is not working, for one. And for two, I talked to the judge just about an hour ago about this, and Brian Lester, he's the chief of staff, I talked to him too. So I've talked to everybody.
I know, but in talking to them,
And another thing, how are we gonna talk to each other, and how are we gonna work together when we
well, let's
can't
just
talk to
get
each other?
FOIA, I know. FOIA, I know.
So we're damned if we do and damned if we don't.
So my point is we need to really address that to where we can have a discussion. And the other thing is, we do have to have these positions that you are, or this amount that you are recommending has to be graded. And if you will have Ms. Boucher address this part, if you would please, Ms. Patty, address the legalities of grading each position's value. And this is what we have to do as a part of it.
Hi.
Thank you.
Since coming to the county, I've been studying our salary administration program that we do have, and I will admit it is not perfect. There is a lot of work to be done, and however, at this time, it does exist, and it is a county policy, and we're asking every other department to abide by those rules in regards to recruitment, retention, promotional value for their positions within their department. I do understand that the roads department has a major recruiting issue. They're not the only department struggling with that. I have another department in particular that came to me this week, and they lost a very qualified applicant because they could not make the distinction and didn't have the discretion because of our salary administration program to offer that person and negotiate with them for a higher salary. So it's across the board. But piecemealing and giving some department positions an hour here, an hour there, 2 here, whatever it may be, when you have a salary administration, is doing your salary administration program a disservice. And so I really think that we need to revise the entire format of it, redraft the rules, start from the bottom up. As far as your employees right now and roads that are being affected by it, I think that what JP Ecke suggested, regrading the positions, would be the appropriate course of action, so that we can rescore them and fit them into different pay grades, until we have the opportunity to consider something different for our salary program. Any other questions?
I have Justice Pond.
Yeah, I wanted to say, yeah, I fixed it. I'm probably the guy that messed it up. I found a technical problem. Loose nut behind the control panel. Okay. I want you to understand, I mean, I'm glad you're still up here when I'm saying it, because I fully understand everything you're saying, and I appreciate it, and I hear you very well. And even though I've already expressed my concerns with this, because I want to hear what the rest of the JPs have to say about it, I am going to vote to pass this along to the next committee, just to hear more discussion. And I do want to say, FOI can be a very frustrating thing, but I believe we all understand why we have that rule. And it's, even though it's difficult to work with, it is there for it's there for a very good reason. But anyway, thank you for your comments as well.
You're welcome.
I have a question for her.
I have Justice
Don't go
Stafford.
anywhere.
Just a minute, Ms. Burchett. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly? Burchett?
Burchett.
Burchett.
It's okay, though.
Well, coming from Eki, that
That's
gets
okay. Everybody
everything.
does it.
Eki. Okay, thank you, Ms. Burchett. I have Justice Stafford.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ms. Burchett.
Yes.
So when we're talking about regrading, I know that just from looking at our, our chart of pay grades, that it's grades 11 and under are the grades that are making less than a $15 per hour minimum, right? Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about regrading, essentially we would mean looking at, for example, if we wanted to try and make the county minimum 15, we would look at all the folks who are in those grades 11 and under and look at moving them all up, sort of, or maybe moving some of the people above them up as well in order to have some parity, or that some people who were other people's bosses, some people weren't making more than their bosses or something like that. Is that kind of what we're talking about?
Yes, that's correct. And you would want to look at your top end as well, because you don't want to destroy your competitive pay within your organization. So you want to definitely look at, yes, the bottom as well as the top. You want to be able to maintain that structure in the middle as well. So you definitely don't want a supervisor coming in making the same amount as one of their lower level employees in their department. I think we need to be looking at our departments by department structures, internal structures, as well as the pay. It should all be cohesive. And I think that whenever we're regrading positions, I haven't quite gotten the answer as to how Johansson Group is scoring during the grading process. I don't know if it's plugged into a computerized program or if it's based on the length of the job description. I'm not exactly sure yet. I'm still trying to discover that. But I will say that no pay scale is perfect, and no pay structure is ever going to be 100%, and it's never going to 100% please everyone. But it needs to be something that you can maintain and baby, so to speak, long term, and that won't leave out your bottom or your top, rated employees. Yeah. So yes, that is what I'm proposing, looking at every position across the board and potentially regrading every single position in the county to maintain competitive pay. We're never going to be 100% competitive with the private sector. It's just not feasible. We run off taxpayer dollars.
Right.
But we can get there if our pay scale is working concurrently with our benefit program that we have, as well as with our handbook and policies. So it all needs to be cohesive. So I've had quite a few conversations with JP Eki about this, that it all needs to be cohesive, and there's a lot of work to do when it comes to HR and in regards to those three areas that I just stated. So
Sure.
hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. And I don't want to, throw the Johansson Group under the bus
No,
up here or
that's not
anything,
my intent
because
either.
they do. No, not you,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely not.
I appreciate them for the job that they do. But I feel, like with this coming 2022 budget, they recommended a percentage increase across the board for all the pay grades. And, I know that several of us on this committee and some of the other JPs have expressed dissatisfaction with that because with a percentage increase, the folks at the top are, making way proportionally more than the folks, at the bottom. If you're making $10 an hour, a 10% pay increase only brings you to 11. And so I think that what, the Johansson Group gave us, I think it didn't seem quite adequate for our actual real life needs in terms of our personnel here in the county. It kind of fell short. And so I think that what you're saying, I think absolutely, I think we need to be looking as a county at regrading all the positions across the board. I know some of the other JPs have talked about maybe these grades need to be simplified because there's just so many of them. I'm not sure. I noticed that on our chart, there's nobody under grade 6. And I'm not sure if that's because we've eliminated those or just there are no, I'm not sure exactly why that is, if those have sort of been made obsolete over time, before my time, I'm not sure. But I think that to me personally, this is a both and sort of situation. I think that we probably should take some kind of step now to help these folks near the who are making who are in some of these lower pay grades. Help them now, even though it's not perfect. And I strongly agree, that we need to look at in 2022, just like you said, changing all the grades.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I have Justice Washington, and we need to wrap up this discussion. We have a jail law enforcement meeting behind this one. Justice Washington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my question is that you mentioned that all of the departments need to be regraded. How long does that process take?
Well, I've not been through that process yet. I'm sure it's pretty extensive based on
It is very
the
laborious.
amount of rules and regulations that are written into the salary administration program. So we could go that route, or we could wipe it out and start from scratch. So there is that option as well. It is up to,
Very laborious for the elected officials.
yeah.
It really is. It's better to just build and move forward.
Okay, so if that is a very time-intensive process, then what, in your professional opinion, can we do for the more immediate need? Because we're talking about a department that pretty soon we may not even have anyone to work in the department. So I understand about the processes that are in place and all of that, but we have an immediate need. So what do we do in the interim if we can't wait for the regrading process, or if we can't wait for all of the departments to be regraded? Then what are our options?
Well, I would think that amending the language in the salary administration program as it states in regards to the requirements of regrading and all of that, and when in regards to classifying titles into the grades, if you change that language, then that would give this committee, I believe, the authority to move certain job titles within different grades at your will.
That belongs to the elected officials. That is their powers. That's overstepping the quorum court's authority to regrade somebody's position that is not in our office. That's up to the elected officials. That's
Okay.
beyond our constitutional responsibilities. So
Okay.
I just want to just make a mention.
Okay, well, then the elected officials and the department heads or whoever it may be would have the right to do that if the language was changed, because that's a policy that would need to change, because that's what the salary administration program is.
I do want to say something. Do you have any further question? I want to say something. We did just pass a bonus to the roads department last quorum court meeting that we had. And the text messages that I received from the roads department, they were very grateful that they received that year-end bonus and appreciation for the work that they did during the COVID period. And they were compensated for it. Secondly, we just passed a historic 10% structure raise along with a 3.5% cost of living raise that hasn't gone into effect. So we are cognizant of the employees all the time in trying to work this, but we need to work this thing together and move this forward. That was historic, that was huge, what we just did. And I think some people just don't realize the value of that effort. And this committee was part of that effort in introducing that we need to move this structure up to 2021 market when it was lagging behind to 2016. So we are at current market value for the positions. We are. We are now up to 2021. Plus they got a 3.5% cost of living increase. They're going to see that. And to say that we're not doing anything or doing enough. Now, the $15 an hour living wage, I will say that that comes from the national rhetoric out there. Locally, that would devastate our economy. We're facing runaway inflation. We can't do that. The $15 an hour is meant for somebody in the New York City area or the Los Angeles area. If you go back and you listen to that narrative, that's where those people wanting $15 an hour, a quote-unquote living wage, that's where that conversation started. But you come down to Northwest Arkansas, that's going to devastate a lot of small businesses. And you're going to have runaway inflation. Now, the percentage trade-off that we are having with our salary range is year before last we did a straight dollar amount raise, did we not? We did. We did a straight amount. Everybody got a certain amount of money. This year we did percentage, and the reason we have to alternate so that way our structure does not collapse and compress on itself. So this is a structure that's there in order to benefit everybody. And looking at some of the new numbers in the minimums, grade 6, the minimum is $12.19. So you'll be making $25,355 a year. Mid-range immediately goes up to $14.34. The maximum $17.22. So I think we need to wait until we see these new numbers that come out and let that take its course. As far as personnel for 2022, I have been working with the superintendent, Jeff Crowder, who returns my phone calls, and working with chief of staff and some of the members of the road department. And we're trying to come up with a STEP program. They're all excited about a STEP program. Well, then let's look at a STEP program for the roads department that compensates merit, attendance, safety, accuracy, and whatnot. And that's what they are excited about. They want to be rewarded for a job well done, and they're tired of those that will not pitch in and work as a team, and they want to reward those that are certified on 3 different equipment, and if they have to, they change equipment, and they'll go and they'll do another job, and they'll do another job. And there's those that say, nope, I'm just going to work a dump truck, that's all I'm going to do, and I'm just going to work a dump truck. Well, they're making the bottom because they don't want to pitch in like a team member and help the roads department move forward. So we're going to leave this to the elected official, chief of staff, and to the superintendent, and we already have a merit-based system that will reward those team players, those that show up on Monday and Friday and don't take the Monday and Friday off all the time, and that are certified on different equipment, and they're going to be rewarded for it, not just because they're making minimum wage or they're at the bottom. Men don't like that. Men want to be rewarded for what they achieved and accomplished and for their effort, and that's what they're going to do down at the roads department. And that's the direction that we're trying to go into, and that's what this committee's going to do for 2022. And we're all going to work on that, on a STEP program that works, that helps seniority, safety, attendance, and accuracy. So with that said, I have a motion and a second to pass this to the Budget and Finance Committee. Is there any other public comment? Ms. Burchett, we have.
Can I ask her one question before she moves?
Certainly.
When you say all departments, I think all the, who are you really talking about?
Get the mic in your phone.
I mean, which department has not had raises? The Sylvester's been here, Bobby Hill's been here, Russell Hill's been here. They've all come in and asked for raises, and they've all got them. And nobody at the road department's been up here beating on the door, but I'm here beating. And I want to know who else is not here beating and getting money. The sheriff's got plenty of money for their people. Who's left?
They also have a different pay
Who's
structure.
left?
Okay, our IT, our human resource department, our grants department, there's a lot, prosecuting
their boss?
attorneys. Sir, there is a salary administration program, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you. What
I
you
know
do
what
for
you're
one
trying to
group, you
explain.
should do for all groups.
Well,
That
that's true,
dictates
but
how
you
we
cannot
handle.
pay the upper people all the time percentages and people on the bottom making nothing percentages because it don't work.
Well, that's what we're trying to work
Yeah,
on, Justice.
bullarchy. Go ahead, I'm done.
Can I say one more thing?
Might as well.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think that, yes, the roads employees do deserve a raise based on merit. And in our salary administration program, there is room for that. I don't disagree that they should not be able to move within their current grade.
Why can't you just slide it to the left? What's the difference? Move the grade one notch. What would that hurt? That puts everybody in a higher pay scale.
Well, that's what
not-
I was talking about, regrading the positions.
Well, let's get it done.
Okay.
Let's not talk about it for 10 years. I've been on 3 years, and these poor people are still on the damn bottom.
Sir,
Let's get them off the
sir, I've
bottom.
been here since October.
Well, good. I'm glad.
So
Let's
give
work on
me,
it.
give me a
Ms.
chance to
Justice
work
Lemon,
on it.
It's not her fault, and it's
Well, it's
not
all
your
of our
fault.
faults.
It-
Let's get
well,
something done.
Well, we are.
Okay, we're
We-
not
we-
either. We're talking about it and arguing about it.
No, we're doing something, and we've got something else to do. There's more to come. I'm excited about what we're going to be doing next year in coming up with a step program for the roads department.
You
I
need to-
have public comment. I have Justice Madison.
You need to explain to the people at the road department what the 10% really means. Are they gonna get 13%? Are they gonna get 10%? Or are they gonna get 3%? What are they gonna get? Because all of them down there call me and ask me. The guy you're talking about all the time that's been down there 7 years running a damn road grader for $16 an hour, and you're talking like that's good. A man's running a $200,000 road grader, and you're paying him $16 an hour. He can go right up to Navajo or anywhere and get $25, $30 an hour to run a $200,000 grader. If we're gonna spend $3 million to buy them, we need to put some people in them to run them, and we need to pay them.
I agree with you. I agree. We're all going at this from different directions, but I agree. We have Justice Madison. Thank you. Hello.
Thank
Good
you.
evening and welcome.
I'm Eva Madison. I'm from Fayetteville. I wanted to say how grateful I was to both JP Dennis and JB Lemming when I read my agenda on Friday afternoon, seeing that there were 2 items on the agenda tonight to address road department pay. It's long overdue. I will say and echo JP Washington's comments, if we wait for an overhaul of the pay system or regrading, there won't be anyone left at the road department. There will not. And I think the road department especially is tired of having this court kick their can down the road. We use that expression a lot in the quorum court, but the sheriff's office got a step plan. Lots of other departments have gotten attention. And I'll recall, it's not been very long ago that the judge's office came and said, we have a problem at the JDC. We can't get people to fill those jobs. And this committee approved giving those folks raises to make sure that they could properly attract individuals to those positions. The road department deserves exactly that same thing. There is not time to wait. It is not fair to ask those workers to wait longer because it's just not fair. Is this perfect? No. But the problem is that only JP Lemming and JP Dennis are the ones that are working on a solution right now.
I beg to
that
differ
affects
with
them
you. They're
right
not.
now.
No.
You can say that, you've got to talk to the judge's office or you've got to talk to the road department. I think not everyone realizes that some of us don't have that same access. And JP Lemming and JP Dennis are doing the very best they can. And this committee needs to prove tonight to the road department people that they are deserving of a raise. $31,000 is not enough to live comfortably in Washington County, Arkansas. So don't tell those folks to be excited about $14 an hour. It's not appropriate in Washington County, and we need to give them a raise, and this committee should pass both of those on just so that we can get something done and work it out for the employees. Thanks.
Thank you. I do commend Justice Lemming and Roberts for bringing their ideas to the Personnel Committee. That's what we want. They feel that this is their solution, and we need to look at all the solutions and come up with a great plan. But it needs to be a well-laid-out plan. And I think the roads department employees know that we have worked very hard at trying to get them raised up and that we are not neglecting them. And I know that I, for one, am not, and I know that the rest of y'all that are sitting here also have not. So there are things that are going on that other people don't know that are going on, and trying to get collaboration from the employees down at the roads department. And we're all excited about it. I know that we're passionate, and you're to be commended for your passion. But I would say, let's keep decorum and realize that we're not the obstacle. We're trying to move forward. And I think we've done a good job in moving forward thus far, and I'd like to see it move forward even more. So we're working on a step plan for the roads department for 2022. The first thing was to move the structure. We did that. Check, check. Congratulations.
If no other public comment, I'd call for a question.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Would you raise your hands? Aye. All opposed? Now, the ayes have it. Thank you. This is being passed on to the Budget and Finance Committee. Moving on to the next item. And this is sponsored by Justice Robert Dennis. It's an ordinance appropriating, I don't have my contacts on, $227,642.06 from the Roads Fund to various line items in the county roads budget for 2022. Justice Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Back in September, I took a trip down to the road department, and I got to learn firsthand how we were losing people so quickly because we paid them so poorly. I took it one step farther. I went out and talked to not manufacturers, but construction people, and I asked what they paid. Well, we paid 20 and 25. And so there was no doubt in my mind why we were losing people. And so I'm not real smart, but I was smart enough to say, well, if all these people have quit, there's a whole lot of money that's stacked up somewhere in someone's pocket, right? It's called unappropriated money. And my thought at the time was, well, okay. And so in October, I came and I said, well, hey, can we do something? And I was told it wasn't in the right format. So I went to the attorney, Lester, and he said he'd put it in the right format and we'd look at it in, because I was already behind government runs so slow. But anyway, I was too late for October. So then he said it would be in November. They didn't do it in November, and here we are in December, and we're looking at it, and it's kind of like, okay. And to explain to you, the FOIA keeps us from talking to one another. I don't know if you realize that or not. I know we've been accused of talking to each other all the time, and I just never get to talk to anybody, it seems like, either side. And so you work through these things yourself. And so if the unappropriated money was for the road department and it was for salary, I thought, well, why don't we use it and give them, I wanted to give it to them right away in order to keep them from leaving. Well, we lost 4 or 5 more after I started that process. But here it is today, and it comes before you, and J.P. Lemmings has a very similar one. I would encourage everybody here to vote for this one as well. And the reason being, when he goes to Finance Committee, they may refuse that one and accept this one. They may refuse mine and only accept his. But if it's not on the books, it can't be handled. And so to vote it down tonight would be a very disastrous thing going forward to the road department. At least this gives you a choice on full quorum court. So I move that we pass this on to the Finance Committee.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I have Justice Pond.
I'm wondering if there's anyone here who works for the county that knows how many employees down we are at this time in the road department.
Is that to the public or us?
Is there anyone here that knows?
Thought we were
How many
down 22.
We're down 22 at this time? Okay. Last
course.
time I heard it was 19 or 20. Okay.
After this vote,
Last time
we
it was
may,
20.
we may be down 32. So it all depends on how the vote goes tonight.
Let's be optimistic.
And, yeah,
So if you want to forecast, 32, 33, 34, 35. It's going to be just like that.
a lot of times, the consequences, that we suffer is maybe not necessarily because of something we said, but it might be something we did or didn't do. Sometimes what we say and then what we do don't match up. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you. I have Justice Lemming.
Well, sometimes you can pay them $100 an hour and they're not gonna stay. And I mean, we can't look at that. We can give them good, fair wages, and if the bosses can't get along or, they're mad because, some stuff, we just can't help. So, let's just try to do the best we can. That's all we can do.
Thank you. And I think we all agree that that's what we're trying to do. With that said, we have a, would you mind if we just pass this on to the Budget and Finance Committee?
My comments will take about 15 seconds.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, go ahead. Justice Stafford.
JP Dennis and I don't always see eye to eye on every issue, but when he brought this up back in September, I agreed completely with every word he had to say. And at the time, I told him that if he wanted to put what he had to say into an ordinance, that I would support it. And I will keep true to my word tonight, and I'll support this ordinance.
And I did say with Justice Dennis that he did need to put it in form of an ordinance, and he's done due diligence. Good job. We're all on the same team, and we're all trying to achieve the same objective, is to make us better, Washington County better, employees better. That's why we're in personnel. So I have a motion and a second to pass this on to the Budget and Finance Committee.
Yes.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Do we have public comment?
Public comment.
With that, thank you.
Vote again then, because
Yeah,
make time for public comment, now we vote.
okay. We're taking a vote now. All in favor say aye. Aye. All oppose? The motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all. Is there any public comment? With that being said, yes, ma'am. Judgment, we approved that, didn't we?
I make a motion that we approve it.
I apologize.
Beaumont.
We didn't do Beaumont's, oh, I thought we did. I thought that was the first thing that we did. Okay, we have Judge Beaumont has a request to adjust one of her employees' pay grade, and you have her letter of justification. And she comes with, received a bachelor's degree in both sociology and criminology from the University of Arkansas. And she's worked with drug court as a counselor, which gave her the ability to know the inner workings of the court's operations. So she has significant experience as well as a bachelor's degree and would like to have her move to the point in her new pay grade to match what the outgoing case manager was making, which is $21.89 per hour. The current budget for the salary will not need any appropriations to adjust for this funding, as she is already, has an employee resigned and will be replacing that person. This is not an additional position. So this is just for, yes, sir?
We don't have an ordinance here to vote on. We have this letter. Can we move to have an ordinance drafted by the county attorney and sent to the Budget and Finance
It just
Committee?
needs a personnel approval, is
Okay.
what we're
It's
saying
all
here.
this needs is
It's all a personnel approval.
I move to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve Judge Beaumont's request. Is there any comment? Any public comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? This request is approved. That being said, the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. Good discussion.